Likely going to see some teams play a little bit more passive. Make sure they have that floater, Tiff. So many things we can talk about.
There really is. And another thing that we mentioned yesterday, and if you're just tuning in today for the first time, things are going to look a little bit differently when we get ready for map number 1,
right.
because we've got Codcaster, which should definitely help with the viewing experience for you at home.
Well, hey, speaking of you at home, get ready. Game number 1 underway. Let's get into it. Alrighty, folks, we are here, ready to rock and roll. EU Stage 1 Finals. Teams have earned their spots. They've been invited. And Tiff, we've got a nice circle for map 1.
Yeah, if you're just tuning in, you watched North America yesterday. That first map circle was less than maybe 20% land and every bit of ocean. So our teams here in EU get the majority to work with. And when I was listening to a lot of our players talk about strategies and how they were going to approach it is, hey, we are going to be rotating so aggressively early because you want to really establish that. But hey, speaking of a team that's not going to be rotating early, Team Tomatis already meeting their fate, heading to the gulag.
Something we can always talk about is the early contest, especially in map 1. It's kind of the litmus test, right? It's setting yourself up for the future. You got to feel out the rest of your competition. Do you have some contested drop spots or not? And looks like we've got a couple, as you would expect, with a 150 player lobby. We had several contested drops yesterday as well. And all these teams have around 3 to 4 different drop spots they're probably really comfortable with, given the circle. But you're right, Tiff. I think most of these teams are thinking, hey, maybe I should land like in the zone rather than the outside of the zone, because a lot of teams were punished landing on the outside of the zone and trying to work their way in.
Yeah, we're over here in Sawa Village. Primza, Robstar, and Betty Central on your screen. This really isn't a bad area of the map. The water makes it a little more challenging to navigate and have a little less fluid movement, I would say. But you can hear if other people are nearby you, because you're like, hey, is that you that just jumped out into the water? And you're like, oh, hey, no. You know to look around you. But your goal of this initial maybe first 2 to 3 minutes in the game, loot up, grab a quick, easy, free loadout, and then begin that rotation.
Yeah, and as we're taking a look at Ghoul Squad again, this is the top qualifier team from yesterday. Something that's worth shouting out about this squad is they might be about to get into an engagement here with Zindex. Is this squad, they didn't win a single map in the quals, but they always dropped consistent kills. They had double-digit elims every single map. They had a couple 5th place drops, which is, of course, that upper echelon of that multiplier that helps out. That 1.8 is really what you're aiming for. You can make it by floating or you can make it by slaying out. Doesn't matter. 1.8 is fantastic for your kills overall, but if you've got double-digit elims every single map, you're gonna be feeling fantastic. Speaking of feeling fantastic, Tiff, Gromalok finding an early knock, and another one of our squads that I think a lot of people are looking at saying they could do really well today.
Hey, I'm looking at it. I was checking out the streams the past couple days. Congrats on recently signing to Omit, that French player, and they have been on everyone's radar about how are they going to perform coming into here. And honestly, I think they're going to do really good, but the goal is that top 25, which may sound like easy, right? That's the upper 50% of the lobby, but it's tough here.
You got Team 41, Team 7 in an encounter early, both trying to kind of angle their high ground positions in order to grab an advantage. And Jimmy's gonna be the first to strike blind, finds 2, looking for the 3rd. Nice little squad wipe. Lost 1 in the process, but that's a quick revive. Trades are key, Tiff. We saw it all day yesterday. We're going to see it all day today, folks. Look, you've got to play your trades. You got to play as a team. Some teams are splitting a little bit in order to cover each other's angles if they're holding down a position. If you're pushing buildings, though, you've got to stack. You've got to be able to play your trades.
Yeah, and that's tough because people in ranked or in normal play, they're like, oh my god, they're stacking on me. Okay, well, you need to do that here because you have, if you're 2 seconds too late, that's going to send you to the gulag, which can be incredibly costly because you don't know who you're going to get over in the gulag. And Showstopper, this is not a bad place to fight here. These warehouses can provide some cover, but if you lose high ground,
oh no,
fire shotty, you called it, Goj, they're coming.
Look, we saw a couple in the NA. I could only expect to see more in EU. EU, they were dynamic yesterday. I want to shout out Ryda in particular, squad that did fantastic yesterday, probably blowing some expectations out of the water. And Ryda did an amazing job with shotgun for most of the tournament. I think it was at least 5 of 6 maps he was running it and was winning a lot of encounters, but those encounters had to be inside of buildings. So you have to strategically play around your shotguns if you're going to use them. Going to see that a lot. Well, FIFA kill on our screen for the first time. Tiff, excited to watch this squad. FIFA top EU earner by a long shot, looking for a first elim here, and I think we might just get it.
Oki down and out, but the res going in. You know, I spoke to FIFA the other day, and he was like, our goal is top 5. A top 3 would be epic, but that top 5 is that moment. But you really just want to secure the qualifying spot. He's at a little 5 to 6K, and he's a happy man. Well, let's tune in with Physic and see if they can re-navigate this engagement. I like the peek on the doorway, right? Because you'll get those first initial shots, but you only have 39 bullets in the Cronin, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it really doesn't take that many bullets to down someone with that weapon.
Yeah, Physic would really like to improve upon last year's performance. I think they got about 29th overall. Was playing with Zach, who's on a different squad. Actually had to qualify. This is one of our invited teams. Best starter on your screen currently. Looking for an elim. They're playing it nice and slow. Don Cacklin last year, I think, was a pretty solid sniper and not sniping currently, or at least not right now. SMG in hand. Nice flank from behind. Playing trades. Found one. Should find the second. No problem at all, Tiff. This should be an easy team wipe.
Just need to clean it up. Tuning back in. Kaiza on your screen. Looks like they're overlooking Team 12. So they just kind of want to close that distance and try to approach it. And we talk about how aggressive you can be in that early game because you want kills. But we're 6 minutes into this map and only 2 squads have fallen.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny, we were taking a look at back some of the NA maps, and that was about what we saw last time around yesterday. Shotgun in hand is a little too far, but when you got the player to trade, that's a nice kill there for Fuzzin. Another squad that a lot of people are looking at to do pretty well today. I believe they got, I think it was 10th overall last time around, so definitely want to improve upon that. But again, hey, look, for everybody at home, just really quickly, if you don't know what we're doing, I know our host did an amazing job. There's $150,000 on the line, and we can maybe fly helicopters to try to get it, but when you get exploded out of the air, good luck, Sam Ham. I believe in you. This is gonna be a tough fight to take from the low ground. But 150K and spot in the stage 2, so we're gonna be looking at those bubble teams today, and we're gonna look at the teams at the top. We're making a ton of cash.
That's what you got to keep your eyes on. It's the bubble teams that will always have R4 focus, and of course that $30,000 prizing for first place. But we just witnessed a team. They were doing a stronghold, which is really great beneficials of trying to get your loadout early. You can get the tempered vest, you get some good ammo boxes and armor, like all the goodies, right? But it draws attention, and when you take these engagements in the building such as this, and please hit the elevator, please take it up for seconds. That's one of my favorite things. It's like a moment of calm. You get into the elevator, it's like ding, and then you hit the chaos on the next floor. But you're talking about those in-game kind of engagements when you have these buildings. It's that KV broadside that makes the world of a difference. Mr. Daft over in NA yesterday, and I've already seen at least 6 people with the shoddy in hand.
That's right. Well, we were seeing Sisty there overlooked by Junior. I know a lot of players like the way Junior plays on the EU side of things. He's played NA as well. He's one of those players that oftentimes will play on that 200 ping differential, and today not having to worry about it at all. So watch out for Junior and his squad. I think that'll be a fun one to watch. They're on paper probably underdogs given a little bit of a lack of performance in the qualifiers, but I think in all reality could be one of the top squads today, and we're going to continue to change these perspectives all the time. But we really want to try to showcase as many teams as possible because, again, our focus is going to be top of the leaderboard. It's also going to be those bubble teams at that 25th or so mark. You know, notably fun talking point here is we're about to get into another fight, Tiff. The cutoff during the qualifiers, it was the exact same score for EU and NA, around that 42 some odd point margin, which is about, when you extrapolate to 6 games, about 50 points. That's what you're looking for about 50 points on average through 6 games to try to make it to the stage 2 finals.
Love how close the scoring was, considering how much talk I saw on the timeline last night in comparison with the EU and NA regions. But, you know, sure, it's all fun. But we get a good look of where that circle is pulling. It's still saying relatively central, not too many teams that are going to find themselves outside, and a quick rotation if so. But let's turn on over. We've got an engagement in Observatory, and when you've got that essentially that one-shot sniper that's going to be taking high ground, you can do a lot of damage here. Help create that opening that maybe the Slayers on your team need.
Yeah, it's the Mad Lions team on your screen. This is the Spanish team. They're certainly fantastic. They've been playing together for a very long time. They won Twitch Rivals event back in the day on Iron Trials as this trio, which is fun. And I think they got 9th overall last year. So definitely a team to watch. Keep your eyes out. Now, this will be a tough encounter. They're going to try to push the equation up to the high ground, and they've split fairly dramatically because they're kind of playing that anchor position with the sniper to hopefully grab a pick and have a player advantage going in. You see our free cam perspective here getting a little bit of overlook, but I really like Team 18's position right now on top of this hill. There's not much you can do, and they're not even paying attention as much because look who's swinging around the corner. Pro Ursic coming around looking for a third party, and will find it. That's one, likely make it two. Sniper on top's not going to be able to help out too much, and there's another team. 43 comes up, wipes the whole squad. Palooka, I'm sorry. Huskerrs, see you in the gulag.
You know, that is one of the worst things that us casters have the ability to do, but you can see that Team 33, Nova and Co have become mountain goats on the side here at Observatory. You just don't want to go down too far yet because you're not sure of the vantage point that the team has above you. But Gromalok in the kill feed having some success, finding some downs. We talk about how you need to pick up as many eliminations as possible. You gotta start here.
Yeah, we're going to continue to take these high ground positions away from teams. They're always going to be contested on high ground. Observatory, obviously the highest point on the map. Some of these buildings certainly are going to be valuable as teams begin to try to rotate to Observatory to then parachute and go wherever we need to go, right? So always something that people use to rotate around the map. The issue is when you're playing on 150 player lobbies and you're trying to rotate by parachuting all the different places, you're likely going to get shot out of the air. So you got to be careful. And they all know that. Here's our World Series of Warzone winners and solo YOLO winner on your screen. Blade and his squad, Savvy Ultras, Vortex, a really strong team. I think Enigma talked about them in the best way. It's, hey, they are some of the top earners in EU just in general, but pretty much only because of World Series of Warzone. So excited to see if maybe they can double down and say, yeah, this is our tournament, by the way.
Well, you saw him on Twitter this morning. We're excited to run it back and hit the back-to-back win, but it all starts here in the first game, and it's tough because we had a lot of competitors yesterday talking about how the first and second games were kind of chalked for them because they weren't expecting things to play out the way they did. But our EU squads, they got to do watch parties. I think FIFA did a watch party yesterday, so you'll see a lot of watch parties throughout the day as well from the NA competitors supporting the EU. But we're gonna hit that recon drone, and FIFA taken to the sky. He's got to get the bird's eye view of the next team they want to annihilate.
Yeah, it's kind of fun because, of course, we can do our free cam view over here with production, but then some of the players are going to try to do their own free cam view with those recon drones. Information is key. We all know it. You know what else is key? Drill charges, Tiff. A great way to breach and clear buildings. Also a great way to just gain information. If you get a hit marker with it, you know what section of the building they're in. So that's what Oki's trying to do here. Not necessarily looking for an Akko, though that would be nice. Eradicating some of the rats out of the building. Angelica's going to vacate the premises, and guess who's wielding that KV broadside? Oki. 2 eliminations thus far, one of which at least is with a shotgun and catching out in the open. Nice little trap setup. FIFA Kill tried to catch the players in rotation. Angelica is running for her life. FIFA's going to try to make sure that doesn't happen.
Solid 2 eliminations thus far for this team, and he's doing a really good job of being able to control the narrative of that engagement, right? They immediately start flying away, and he's like, oh no, we're gonna mortar strike, we're going to hunt this.
Sure.
This is right for us. But coming on over to Santify right here, some beautiful shots on a Louis. That's not gonna be what you want, but when you get peppered and you've only got a little bit of cover, that's the tough thing about Al Mazrah. You have to use the natural topography of this map, whether that's changing your operator skin to look like the textures of bushes so you can find some coverage to shield up. But I love that everyone has north of 9 to 10 shields on stock.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You need to stock up on shield. It's resource management game. That's what it is. We all know it and we love it, right? The gun skill differential between one player and the next is pretty minimal at this point, so it's going to come down to positioning and resource management. Do you have enough ammo? Do you have enough plates? Do you have self-revives? Do you have your gas mask? Like, all of those things are so minor when it comes to pubs for the most part. When it comes to customs, 150 players, you got to have it. You love it, and make sure you have as much as possible. Drill charges, smokes, all of the above. We're back to Observatory, and it looks like Fala and Co are going to be pushing the equation on Showstopper, one of our Lebanon players that made sure that they were able to play today, making sure to move regions and compete, which is exciting to see. We did pretty well in the last World Series of Warzone as well. So if they hold down their position well, that's team 6. Likely are going to see a couple teams here on the edge of zone, but the circle has moved off of Observatory, at least partially here, Tiff.
My only qualm with this is the rotation up to Observatory that we just witnessed is incredibly challenging. And with Observatory being split in half, yeah, you can use the high ground here and gatekeep and try to get as many eliminations as possible. But think of your next rotation. A lot of our players were saying, hey, we need to rotate way early on as Meeks and Jama going in a little 1v1 action. You've always got to win your ones, and Jama from Team 32 is going to make sure they do that.
And that looked like an intentional bait, too. You saw Louis fly off going one direction, and the other player pushed out of the window ready to hop because they knew someone was close. Meek said, oh, that looks like open season. Let me take some shots. And unfortunately, wasn't quite open. And Patsuka going to catch the bat into the stick here against Joewo, one of the other teams that I think a lot of people on the timeline were looking at. I put out a tweet on Twitter. It was basically, hey, who do you think's going to win? I want to shout out some folks on Twitter. A lot of people were typing in Inxie and Stuo and Patsuka. This is a really strong team, and I believe they were one of our top teams from a couple of different tournaments we've seen on the EU side, but in particular even just last year they were really strong performers. So a team that we're all going to be keeping our eyes on. I think FIFA might have been talking some trash about them, but they're going to be able to put on a show, Tiff.
Hey, Robstar wanting to put on a show for you guys as well. They're playing for trades here throughout this doorway. A nice opening down that should be able to make things up and actually reposition yourself quite nicely. I love the utilization of jumping up into different areas. Now we're in a different scenario where Primza is going to be able to go in as well, trades, but with the smoke utilization throughout buildings, it's so challenging to see, but Diablo is going to fall, and that night vision thermal scope is going to be a nice differential.
It's a fun squad to talk about. Robstar, I used to call him the ultimate EU third. You know, hasn't competed as much more recently, was a Verdansk phenom, and was the perfect third to pick up. He's kind of like the Zeesman on the EU side. You pick him up, he's going to do his job well. He's going to slay out. He can mesh with anyone. Primza this time not playing with, of course, Wars, instead playing with Benny Central after a mediocre success at around 11th last year.
Back over here with FIFA. Abwiz and Oki, they're looking down the barrel, approaching Robstar's team, and you can see how they want to approach it. They immediately throw those Joel charges. Maybe they'll connect, get some initial damage, and allow them to reposition. But for a team that said they were going to hyper-aggressively focus on rotations early, they found themselves rather close to the zone here.
Yeah, Tiff, one of my favorite parts about Codcasters is that we can see the people swimming, right? Because it is difficult to see them in game. Now Freddy finds one in the water, and that will be a team wipe on Barry TV. Probably back to the lobby you go if you're isolated out into the water just trying to stay alive, looking for some placement points. Folks at home, our placement multiplier doesn't start until 35 teams are left, all right? And then it'll ramp up from there. You're really looking for, of course, first, some eliminations if you can pick up Jaff here. And that's a 2 times multiplier if you win the game, but that 1.8 is nearly as valuable, and that's just getting top 5.
Coming on over to Hey, it's Aaron. 1 elimination thus far for the team, for him at least, 1 for Cam, so a couple, but a lot of people are throwing that night vision scope, especially on the sniper. We've also seen it on the Cronin, which gives that information because people are utilizing those smokes to rotate heavily. And while it's not necessarily as good as the thermal, which are banned here today because we are mimicking that Warzone ranked playlist, so you'll see that certain things actually aren't going to be in the game, like you're not going to get multi-circle rings and just all-out chaos here.
Looks like all-out chaos from the precision airstrikes, mortars, or otherwise to make sure people go down. That's going to be key to your success as well. A lot of snipers. I'm seeing a lot of snipers and shotguns in the kill feed, so keep that in mind. If you get a snipe from distance, a lot of people are going to precision airstrike it, otherwise known as PA. When they use those PAs, you can clean up some eliminations. Even if you're not even close to that player, you can pick up that kill, and that'll go to your kill tally. Always mention this top of show in the first game, Tiff, zones of activity. We were through the early game, getting a couple eliminations. Now we're into the mid game, setting up for the end. We're about to be in the end game, and we still have 34 teams left. Bin OG under fire as well, but a nice spot here on the edge of zone.
I see Team Tiana Mercedes up and Adam. I've seen her competing quite often throughout, so she'll be on the outskirts of this engagement. So there could be a potential for a third party here, but really utilizing those drill charges to clean out and the cheeky angles from below. Cam just trying to keep the dream alive. They were on the roof with a portable buy station, so that can attract a lot of players. We saw just how prevalent it was in the end games over in North America with those late buybacks, so people could be floating. But let's see if we can get connections here with the drill charges.
I gotta say, I'm looking over on that right-hand side. I think I saw Joewo at the top, Patzuka, Inxian, again, 5th overall in quals, but a lot of teams are looking at them as one of the top teams today. Joewo sitting on 12 limbs, is that right? That is a crazy amount. Well, we're gonna see at least one fall here. Morpheus, Zakar are looking to have a bit of a revenge tour from a lackluster tournament performance in the past. Love to see them towards the in circle here. You can see Visions hanging out on some nice high ground inside circle. A lot of teams vying for position, Tim. I think we've officially entered the in game here in about 15 seconds, and all the teams collapsing on each other with limited cover. This is going to be chaos.
See, this is what everyone was talking about. How many teams were going to be involved in those later circles? We have 30 teams up here. And I just recently saw FIFA Kill's team getting completely annihilated on their water rotation. I believe FIFA might still be up, but Abwiz and Oki not going to be too lucky. But Benzi taken to the water. Now, a lot of teams, they'll have a loadout for later games, in particular for the water zones. That FTAC Siege is going to be the mission critical pistol for success here, but Benzi still rocking the Cronin and the Lockman, so we're just gonna nestle ourselves away from the chaos.
Yeah, if you look in the top left-hand corner of your screen where you can see it, that mini map, a lot of players are floating around the map. That means they're literally floating is what that means. A lot of teams will buy back in the late circles here and then have one player float to make sure they grab some placement multipliers, because these things start ticking up fairly dramatically. So keep an eye, middle of your screen, 26 teams left. Need to get into top 20, ideally top 5, and of course winning 2 times multiplier. We'll see. Player advantage is going to be everything, especially if you're on the ground. Those teams like Team 39, Team 16, some of these squads on edge are going to be in trouble going into the middle if there's teams already set up there. And Tiff, you called it out perfectly, as Zamza is going to find one with some drill charges. Early rotations are king.
Yeah, and I did see a full squad wipe onto FIFA's team, so they're not going to even make it to the top 25 here. But Hallow, you really do have to start rotating just a little bit, maybe use the side of this bridge. But that water, you're going to give audio cues, so you only have one more smoke available to you. A lot of our teams are using resupply, which comes in handy, but you have to work with what you got, because that's going to take time. And when we're kind of having an ending that's really over in this area, all of these buildings are going to allow people to coexist, and we're going to see the shotgun come in clutch.
Hey, Jukeyz vision looking really solid there on the edge. We'll see if they can work their way in. Hollow's going to try to pick up as many eliminations as possible. Again, placements is a lot of things, but kills are everything. You have to find eliminations. You will find a lot in the in circle if you do it right, but not if you're getting sniped. There's a couple floaters, and as we continue to swing around, Showstopper squad's got a full team of 3, and nice little night vision scope's going to be helpful for some of these smoke rotations. Got to hit your shots, though.
The info on your screen, KB broadside in hand, and I feel like you have to send the person with the shotgun in hand into the building first.
Right.
It's like, all right, breach, clear, let's do it. They found something for free, which at this stage of the game is pretty impressive. So start throwing down those prox mines. You can restock easily on those grenades, and maybe you didn't like that placement, but we're gonna have to push out. You can see Zanza and co just in front, Omit Jr. to your right. So 16 squads here within the past 4 minutes. We've lost out on 11 teams.
I'm looking at Tomsterbomb, Team 45. They've got great position with Bubble and Echo. Keep an eye on that team. They're dead center of zone. Now it's starting to move, so they're going to have to rotate a little bit here, but they've been set up for a while. Should be able to catch a couple. Showstopper continuing to find elimination after elimination, clearing out buildings systematically. 5 total currently. Again, key metric for success is double-digit elims and working your way inside the top 10. That's going to be crucial to all of our teams, especially from a consistency basis. Going to hold down this building. Still with a player advantage, but here's some footsteps behind. I don't think we saw him. He was close, Tiff. Apparently not close enough.
Oh, but the shots coming in. They have been found out. Now the KV broadside is going to do everything to you. Benzi, squad wipe completely out. Zamza's going down. Tomster Bomb, you're talking about that team earlier. Now they're running into some difficulties, but a nearby precision airstrike is going to take him down on rotation. So
look at Jukeyz.
Already in. Jukeyz and co. They've got the smoke. They're rotating. You see Kaizen. Everything is getting a little spicy. 4 squads left, though. The end is near.
Pentagon, Fuzzin, Jukeyz squad stacked on top of each other on the last remaining tiniest piece of cover that we have. Hey, it's Aaron says, hello, I'm not done yet. I'm going to rotate over. SMG finds one, but Vision's still up. Vision's in Lenun, trying to put... Really, the key to their success thus far, Tiff, has just been playing together and rotating early. Look, they're at the zone first. They have the last piece of cover. Everyone has to come to them, and we're down to the final 3 squads. Bubble can't make it over. It's a 2v1. Pentagon's got the high ground right above them. This is going to be a patient play, 2v1, unless they can drill charge him out.
Ooh, this is where all the lethals and utility are going to come in clutch, but Pentagon 1v2 not gonna be able to make it happen. Lenun cleans it up. Congratulations to our winners of the first map.
Look, I think a lot of people on the timeline were saying Jukeyz squad's looking pretty good. Hey, they're looking really good. Finding a victory there. Vision's very well done at the end. Isolate your 1v1s. If you got player advantage, use it every single time. But the keys to everyone's success in that map, early rotate, early rotate. You got to have the resources to be able to do it, though. Great map from Jukeyz team there, Tiff.
Yeah, it was really well done, and it's kind of hard to see Pentagon, right? They were talking about how things might affect them. They're second place finishers. He's like, sometimes my teammates are a little bit late on rotation, and that can hurt us, but they were in there. They had the high ground, and we get to run back that winning moment.
Just what did we do?
That was nice. It was just tough that LTV got yoinked, to be honest.
Well, we got to hear a bit of the celebration, a bit of the comms, but regardless, still a fantastic victory from Vision at the end. Played patient, calm, cool, and collected. Tiff, I think they've been in the in circle before. I think they know what they are doing. They have a long laundry list of World Series of Warzone practice tournaments that they've done very well in, especially podiumed probably about 75% of them, at least inside the top 3. So this is a team